currently is facing numerous challenges. If you look around, especially Central and Eastern Europe, Moldova itself being targeted by Russia, but still on its road forward to join the European family. Now we'll talk more about this. I'm delighted to be joined by Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Mihai Popșoi, who joined us now to discuss the latest for his country. Thank you so much, Minister, for taking the time with us.
Thank you.
So let's look at the recent results. We have presidential elections. Maia Sandu has won. She clinched that second round. The EU referendum, it looks good. But what did you learn through this process? Is Moldova now securely on the way towards Europe? Is it safe?
We have certainly learned a number of things. One of them is to never underestimate your opponent, this time the Kremlin. We knew that they were going to try to interfere and try to deviate Moldova from its European path, but the extent of this malign interference, unfortunately, we couldn't predict, but it was manifest in the first round, but we adapted. And by the second round, we made sure that we can put up some more defenses in place, and we learned from this experience, and we are happy to share some of this experience with our partners. But we are growing more and more confident that by the time of the next election, we'll be better prepared to not allow this sort of interference that we've seen now. But the bottom line of this election, that Moldovans have shown clearly what they want for the future of the country and for the future of their children. And that is to be part of the peaceful and prosperous European family of nations. And for the President Sandu to be re-elected in a situation where virtually all incumbents in democratic settings have lost ground, it's a big credit of trust, and we're very thankful for this political maturity and clear understanding of our citizens of what is at stake, and the fact that President Sandu has managed to maintain the trust of our citizens is truly remarkable in the context of the enormous economic and security hardship that we have gone through. And we very much look forward, together with our citizens, to continue to defy the odds. And that is also a result of the strong partnership that we have with our European friends.
And defying the odds, I mean, you mentioned also malign influence by the Kremlin. We've heard during those election campaigns, it was quite a tough journey. It was rather close, right? The experts are saying it would be a different result. But nevertheless, you're right, Moldovans have chosen that in that direction. But looking at it now, I mean, it seems in a certain way that part of your country is a bit polarized. What are now the conclusions that you can draw from that, and how are you approaching potentially in the next, as you mentioned, parliamentary elections next year, how to connect that country, unite it more?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. We need to focus on the uniting part, not so much on the polarization, which is common to democratic elections. It happens everywhere. And in fact, it is actually the Kremlin that is trying now to build a wedge in Moldova to try to further divide us. But the outcome of this election has actually showed that there is a lot more unity in Moldova and that Russian division has not been successful. So we'll continue to work hard to engage all of our citizens, no matter the language they speak, no matter where they live, no matter their political preference, because every single citizen's voice counts. And we will make sure that their voice is respected, unlike, unfortunately, in Russia, where you don't have this competitive democratic process. So we are thankful that we've managed to pass this important test, and we very much look forward to continuing delivering to our citizens and advancing on our European path, and therefore show, as a matter of fact, that democracy delivers, that Moldova's European aspirations deliver in improving the quality of life of our citizens, and therefore continue to unify the society, no matter the external attempts to divide us. They will not succeed.
I mean, indeed, you said that now the path is towards unity in Moldova. I'm just curious about, during that election campaign and leading up to the presidential campaign, the referendum, how much of assistance do you get from the European Union, from regional partners? How much of a role did they play in securing that path to Europe?
We've been fortunate to have incredible support from the European Union, from our immediate neighbors. Our brothers in Romania have always been there for us. We have an incredibly close partnership with Kyiv throughout these past few incredibly difficult years. But we have broader regional support from the Baltic states, from Poland, from all across Europe. Germany and France has been steadfast in supporting Moldova in the Moldovan Partnership Platform that we had in September, with 6 foreign ministers being there, not just from Romania, Lithuania, but from Poland, from the Netherlands, from Germany. We're very fortunate to have this incredible support in the Republic of Moldova, and we very much look forward to consolidating this support that we get to the benefit of our citizens.
And also looking at now, I mean, the world is constantly changing, but now with the inevitable return of Donald Trump to the White House, how does that play into your own foreign policy? I mean, clearly, has that potentially emboldened actors that are pro-Russian in your country or the region? How worried, or let's say, how positive are you aligned with the new White House? What does that mean for Moldova's future?
We've had very close ties with our friends in Washington. We've always engaged with both sides of the aisle. We have very trusted relationship with both the Democrats and the Republicans. And in fact, we'll be going there together with the Speaker of Parliament. My friend Igor Grosso will be going to Washington for the first week of December to engage with our partners on Capitol Hill to make sure that we further consolidate our bilateral relations. And we remember the past 4 years of President Trump, and they've been good for Moldova. It was a time of stability, and we very much look forward to regaining that so much needed stability in our region. But of course, this needs to take into account the international law. It needs to take into account the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, and it needs to take into account especially the suffering that Ukraine has incurred. It needs to have security guarantees. And of course, tomorrow being this incredibly sad anniversary of 1,000 days of this brutal Russian aggression against a sovereign, independent and friendly country of Ukraine, we're confident that our partners in Washington, along with our partners in Brussels and across Europe, will find a way to put an end to this war in a way that is just and that is sustainable. Because of course, the suffering and the economic repercussions that are felt throughout the world, including in the Republic of Moldova, have been severe, but we'll remain steadfast in our commitment to stand by international law, because we have suffered ourselves at the hands of the Kremlin with the separatist region of Transnistria and the illegal presence of Russian troops there. And we count and we have the support of our partners that in the context of these upcoming discussions that will shape the final outcome, that the issue of the Russian illegal presence of Russian troops and munitions in the Republic of Moldova will also be addressed, because they have certainly outstayed their welcome, if they were ever welcome.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on that point exactly, you mentioned Transnistria, which is still something relatively unresolved in your country. And also if we look at Gagauzia, another region that's had close ties to Putin there as well. What does this now mean? Now, this referendum has proven as a European path. Sandu has won another election, pro-European there. How does that impact those regions within your country where there has been some difficulty in unity?
Well, there is definitely a difference of opinion from one geographical region to another. It's normal in many countries. We have the same situation. The fact that the majority of Moldovan citizens throughout the country and in the diaspora have voted in favor of joining the European Union is actually beneficial to everyone, even those that were skeptical, or even those that unfortunately fell into the prey of Russian propaganda, or even fell into the corrupt networks that the criminal groups were orchestrating at the behest of the Kremlin. But this European path and the benefit and the support that we're getting from the European Union to bring the living standards in Moldova closer to those of the European Union will benefit everyone. And we will just have to double down in our open and frank communication and respectful communication with every single citizen, even with those that have certain concerns. There are many folks that are skeptical of the EU within the EU. So it's normal in a democratic society to have differences of opinion. But we need to make sure that we are more effective in our communication with every single citizen in a language that they understand about the benefits of European integration, about this land of peace and stability and prosperity and respect for human dignity and human rights. And we'll continue to do that. It is a difficult path, but it's an important path to maintain the unity, the stability in the Republic of Moldova.
You mentioned on Tuesday it'll be 1,000 days of the terrible illegal war in Ukraine by Russian forces. Looking at the connections, you said you have good relations with Kiev, but also looking very much how Kiev has tried very much to hold itself, to fight for freedom, but also on that path to European membership, also into NATO membership. Now, I know that for your country, that's still enshrined in the Constitution, that neutrality. With this referendum now moving forward to Europe, is potentially now NATO also something on the horizon that your government might be pursuing?
Well, there is no discussion about NATO being the ultimate security guarantee in our region and beyond. You don't need a PhD in security studies to know that. I started my professional career working for the NATO Information Center in the Republic of Moldova. So you don't have to persuade me. What we have to do together, and of course the onus is on us primarily, is to persuade our citizens. So far there isn't enough democratic support in the Republic of Moldova, and there are many explanations to that. The number, it's about 25 to 30% support for NATO membership. We need to acknowledge that, and for the time being, NATO is not on the agenda so far for the Republic of Moldova. But it's very important to consolidate our defense capabilities, and we cooperate very closely with NATO. We just celebrated 30 years of partnership for peace, and we very much look forward to Ukraine getting the security guarantees that it needs, because it also helps us, of course. Ukraine quite literally defends us. For us, it's not very abstract. It's in fact very tangible that Ukraine is the shield that protects us and, quite frankly, the whole eastern flank of Europe and of the free world. So we are very fortunate to have this cooperation with the European Union, with all of the Euro-Atlantic partners to consolidate our defenses. And sometime in the future, if the Moldovan public will decide that that is the way forward to consolidate Moldovan defenses, that will be the case. If, after a public debate that will take a certain amount of time, Moldovans will continue to hold on to neutrality, like some EU member states do, that is a legitimate path. It's just important for this to be an outcome of a truly democratic debate, as opposed to propaganda and this Soviet nostalgia or any other results that are not exactly reflecting of the public, transparent, democratic debate that we need to have and that we are having in the Republic of Moldova.
And also, if we look at the wider region, in fact, in Europe, Prime Minister Donald Tusk of Poland, very much someone also who has been in your country recently in the last month or so, someone advocating as well for a strong Europe, also on defense. Also, with an upcoming Polish presidency here in the European Council, what are your expectations from Poland for next year?
First and foremost, I have to really commend Prime Minister Tusk. I tend to call him President Tusk because of his EPP experience earlier. We're very fortunate that they have this very close partnership and friendship with President Sandu, and Poland has been there by Moldova's side in very challenging times, and we have very good cooperation with Radek Sikorski as well, who met even today. Our partnership is very, very good, and we're very thankful to the people of Poland for supporting the Republic of Moldova. So we're very much looking forward to the Polish presidency. We are now concluding the screening of the first cluster, and we're very much looking forward to opening the first cluster of negotiations as early as possible. And we're quite ambitious. We want to waste no time, because we've lost 3 decades. We have no more time to lose. So we're very much looking forward to capitalize on the opportunities of the Polish presidency and double down on the reforms that we do at home, because we understand that the ball is in our court now. We really need to deliver at home, and we have the firm commitment to do that, because we're ultimately doing it for our citizens, be it justice reform and integrity-driven judiciary, be it combating corruption, be it strengthening rule of law and human rights. We are confident that with the support of our citizens and the generous support and steadfast support of our partners, we'll be able to succeed.
Succeed with a great partnership, positive path to Europe. That's, I think, the enduring message here. Foreign Minister Popșoi, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. That's Sasha Farba for TVP World at the European Parliament in Brussels.